Hey guys, welcome back to the letter. This is DJ Gamer Girl signing on. So, last episode, the Wrights bought the house and asked that we take care of everything else needed for the completion to be done within a week. We celebrated with Zach and Becca. The ghost visited us as a reflection in a glass, which makes it completely obvious that she is not bound solely to the house if she's visiting Isabella out in town. And, well, in the morning, we've got plans with Ash to see Professor Andrew. So, sleep comes easier tonight. For the first time in a long time, I dream of clear skies, and of unrestrained laughter from children playing in the streets, and of small, cramped dwellings. To an outsider, the sight does not paint a pretty picture. However, this is home to me. October 23rd. Morning dawns bright and clear the following day. Although the air still feels muggy and I miss the chilly autumn weather, it's one of those rare weekends when I'm up even before my alarm rings. If it wasn't for Ash's call last night, I'd probably sleep in. When 9 a.m. rolls around, I'm already heading downstairs where Ash is waiting for me in his car. His hair is a disheveled mess, eyes drowsy, and overall looking like he hurried to get out of bed. Or fell out of it. Or both. He looks adorably rumpled this way. But I'm not going to tell him that. It'd only bloat his unbearable ego.
Good morning, Ash.
He makes a motion with his fingers around his ear. Tone it down.
Can you even drive?
He answers me with a slight raise of his hand. A yawn, nothing more. He's never been particularly fond of mornings, and for that I'm thankful to every god in the universe. Less mental capacity for him to make fun of me. There's the reason why mornings are my favorite. It doesn't take long for us to reach our destination. The small cafe is situated in Luxembourg's busiest streets. The same one I'd often visit with Becca for his cheap food. I've never gone here on a Sunday, and it's striking how different it appears without the usual weekday and Saturday rush. The atmosphere especially reminds me of something we also have back home, or the university I used to attend. What happened to it? It was being renovated before I left, so I never got to visit one last time. The place has always had a calming effect on me. But today, despite standing in a place similar to it, anxiety easily washes over me as I step out of the car. I'm quite used to dealing with people I've never met before, thanks to my work, but still, I don't know him. In spite of the fact both Ash and Becca have vouched for him, what will he think of me and my story? What if he thinks I'm crazy? Hell, even my own friends thought so. I draw in a breath to quell the panic beginning to rise in me. Oh well, only one way to find out. A few hesitant steps forward, and then Ash is suddenly pulling me back up by my elbow.
Hold on, scaredy cat, not too fast.
Without warning, he flicks my forehead. Hard.
That hurts. What was that for?
He's already walking away when I look up. Hurry to catch up to him, puzzled. I really don't understand this guy. At least explain why you're flicking other people's foreheads all of a sudden. So rude.
Get yourself together, will you? He's not going to bite. He's very accommodating, too.
I wasn't scared of him or anything.
You don't look like it. Didn't sound like you were okay last night either.
Huh?
What was that last one? Hey, don't just ignore me.
All questions and retorts die on my mouth once he opens the door to the shop. A cast iron bell attached to it. It chimes softly, announcing our arrival. The smell of freshly brewed coffee welcomes us as soon as we step in. Like the usual, several tables and chairs have been set up for the patrons. But most of the customers have forgone them in favor of more comfortable throw pillows and beanbags the staff have laid out on the floor. Becca would love to know they have something like this on Sundays. She's been complaining how uncomfortable the library chairs are for a long time now. Ash leads me to a secluded spot near the window, where an old man, probably in his 50s or 60s, is seated, enjoying a brew and a book.
Professor Clark.
It's just Andrew now. I'm no longer your professor, Detective Inspector Frey.
The guy, Andrew, looks up from his book and gives him a smile. A sheepish look crosses Ash's face at the older man's admonishment. More unusual, in my opinion, is seeing him appear like a parent has just scolded him. But it suggests a familiarity between them, one that goes beyond what someone expects from a simple student and mentor. With another warm smile, he gestures for us to take a seat, to take the empty seats opposite him.
Have you been waiting long?
Quite some time, but I come here early on weekends. Best time to get their first serving of bear claws. They're the only place that serves it here. I took the liberty of ordering for you two. I hope you don't mind. I thought it'd be best to talk over a decent helping of coffee.
Soon enough, the waiter brings out 2 more cups and sets down a basket of pastries.
Aren't you going to introduce the lady?
Ah, right. Sorry. Isabella, this is Prof. Andrew. He's one of my professors back at the university. Andrew, this is Isabella Santos.
Santos. Portuguese? Spanish? Brazilian? Mexican?
Filipina, actually. It's a pleasure to meet you, Professor.
Ah, your name carries a lot of history, Miss Santos. Just Andrew is fine. Don't do what Ashton's doing. He doesn't listen to this old man.
He doesn't listen to anyone, more like. The awkward tension typically present in first meetings dissipate after that. I was expecting someone strict and, to an extent, somewhat severe. But Professor Andrew Clark is definitely the opposite of what I have in mind. The more personable kind, similar to a grandfather who dotes on you at family gatherings. It's obvious why Ash has taken a liking to him.
Ashton tells me there's something you wish to discuss that I could help with. Let's hear it then.
I gave Ash a hesitant glance, but he just nods and gestures towards Andrew with his head. He's leaving this to me. It's my story to tell, after all. I kept it short and concise. I found a letter in this old mansion, now I'm cursed. Exactly as I've told Ash and Zach when they asked about it. I don't mention the name of the place. No use saying it now that someone else legally owns it. No use dragging other people into my problems.
I'm sure it's that letter I found, but I don't know anymore. I just want to know how to escape this nightmare.
Of course. We're talking about the one in Anslem Village, aren't we?
How did you...
Don't look so surprised. There's only one place popular enough here if we're going to talk about hauntings. I once had a colleague who wrote about it and the urban legends surrounding the place. Years worth of study, but fascinating. It's a shame he passed away at such a young age. He would have done a much better job at explaining topics like this one compared to me. Ashton here might disagree, but it's an interesting topic in sociology, if you care to have an open mind.
Studying the science and theory behind it is completely different from outright believing in it.
You don't believe in those stories, sir?
Now, this isn't a question of belief. All I'm saying is things like these speak a lot about a place's culture and history. And it's not just limited to ghosts. Monsters, gods, you name it. Even you, Miss Santos.
What about me?
How you respond to these stories. It tells a lot about you and your upbringing. In the same way it tells me why our detective inspector here finds such topics absurd. Interesting, isn't it?
My head is starting to spin from all this. I'm not the smartest person around, but I understand what he's trying to get at. I think. It's still too much to take in at once. I look to Ash for help, but his eyebrows are drawn in a frown. If he keeps staring at like that at his cub, I'm pretty sure it'll crack soon.
There's still something you're not telling.
Didn't I tell you everything the other day?
Yeah, but you mentioned the rights. Then you proceeded to drop the topic right after. What's with that?
They don't have anything to do with this.
Rights. Luke and Hannah, right?
Yeah, they're the ones who got the place.
I'm not surprised. They're the kind who gets what they want once they set their eyes on it.
From what I've heard, word gets around.
A heavy sigh escapes my lips. Popular or not, they're just my clients, albeit a little pushy, but just clients, end of story. I wish he'd stop pestering me about them. I know you're trying to help. And even more of a relationship with Ash now. What is it again that Becca does when dealing with a particularly difficult child? The pesky, annoying kind? Wish I could remember. I could certainly use the same trick right about now.
Ashton, look here. I know you're trying to help, but the deal's almost already closed. The papers are being prepared. Once it's done, it's over. I'm just their agent.
And when is that happening?
When what? Is there even a purpose to this line of questioning?
Your working relationship with them. When's it going to end?
About a week from now. It depends on how long the approval process would take, but they wanted us to rush in.
Really? You're absolutely sure about that?
Yes, really. Unless they want to buy a house again and want me and Rose to be their agent. If yes, then I don't see a problem with it. Now stop annoying me about it.
Don't accept it.
What? Why? It's my job.
Oh lord, even my younger siblings aren't this difficult to deal with. And again, Ash is far from a younger sibling to me. If he'd only spell it out, surely I'd understand. You wouldn't even have to talk about it right now. That's how it is, right? Find an even ground to talk about it like the adults we are? It wasn't like this before. But somewhere along the way, something's changed in us, as people, as friends. I wish there was a way I could tell him when or why. Instead, I'm left searching blindly for reasons. Next thing we know, we'll be drifting further and further apart. Frustrating.
Now, kids, settle down. We're not going to solve anything by shouting.
Sorry, Sir Andrew.
And we're not going to solve anything either if you keep omitting things.
Speak for yourself. I'm not the only one doing it.
You'll have to forgive my former student, Miss Santos. He's always been the curious kind. Many people think he's lazy, but it's actually the opposite. I see that hasn't changed.
Oh, really? How is he back when he was your student? I'm sorry, I need to ask. He doesn't talk much about that.
And there's a reason why. Please don't.
Tried to sleep on the first day of class. He didn't repeat it after what I made him do when I caught him. Students like him are the easiest to deal with, once you know what piques their interest. I'd have to say, he's one of the very few who's actually interested in the subject, though. But there was this one time when...
By the end of the conversation, Ash is like he's praying for the ground to swallow him. He's never been one to talk about himself. What I know about him are mostly bits and pieces I've gleaned over the years. He's an atrocious singer. He's bad at art, and he has a personal vendetta against mornings. Now it feels he isn't that hard to figure out after all. It's past noon when Andrew has to leave for another meeting. But before we separate...
Miss Santos, a word of advice. Just keep in mind that when it comes to cases like this, things aren't always what they seem.
Naturally, the mansion in the letter was brought up several times during our talk. And though Ash is right in that Andrew offers a different perspective, he's left me with more questions than answers instead. What is she? What does she want from me? Is she ever going to leave? They all continue to bug me after we've left the coffee shop. I don't even notice when Ash takes a different turn on her way back.
Where are we going? You can drop me off at the park.
Guess. You have 3 chances.
I'm serious, Ash. Where are we going?
He doesn't answer, but shortly he stops the car in front of a small, nondescript food stall, a little ways from the movie house. If I wasn't paying closer attention, I would have missed it without a doubt. His motions for me to wait as he gets off the car and walks in his direction. Sheesh, if you want to buy something, just say it. No need to make yourself look mysterious. Makes you look more like a dork than cool. The wait isn't long, however. Soon he's walking back, holding 2 fish-shaped cones in both hands. Ice cream? Parfait? Cross between the two? By the time he's back inside the car, I've given up any effort to figure out what he bought. Not that it looks bad. It's actually quite cute.
Here, take it.
I have to move my head back a little when he thrusts it at me to avoid ice cream and fruit toppings from ending up on my nose.
What's this for?
My arm's getting tired. 5, 4, 3, 2...
With a wary glance, I take it off his hands. I still don't understand why there's a need for ice cream today. Nevertheless, I take a small bite. It's actually pretty good. I must have shown it in my face because he chuckles as soon as I take another one.
Saw the place open the other day when we watched Zach's movie. Thought I should give it a try. It doesn't seem like a bad place to get food from time to time.
And you're giving me free ice cream because...
Do I need to have a reason?
Are you really going to ask me that?
Here's the thing with Ashton Frey. He does not treat anyone to free food because he feels like it. He's that much of a Scrooge. Hell, he even asked me to teach him how to haggle once. Haggle! Of all the people who'd ask me that. I'd have expected such requests from Becca, but Ash? Not at all. If I'm going to be honest, he looks a bit constipated with that expression on his face right now. I think he's starting to regret ever buying this.
The other day? The movie with Zach and Rebecca? Rebecca's there, yeah, I think so. Yeah. Anyway, during the movie, that's to say, we...
Oh, for God's sake, just spit it out!
Shit. Should have written down something first.
Get to the point, Ashton.
Right. I'm sorry.
What?
I'm sorry for, not getting to the point. I'm sorry for the other day. I got carried away. I said things that upset you. I shouldn't have done that. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
Okay? That's all? That's all you're going to say? You're not still angry, are you?
You didn't have to buy me anything. A simple sorry would have been enough.
I bite into the cone again, a small attempt to keep myself occupied and relieve the heat crawling up my face. It doesn't work, but at least I don't have to look at him. Why I'm feeling embarrassed over an apology, I have no idea. It's not like it wasn't called for. They were being mean, especially him, and in that fraction of a second, it hits me. He skipped his day off just for today. I should be the one apologizing and thanking him. Since silence is an awkward company while we finish our respective snacks. There are words for this. For people like us, for understandings and sentiments like this. Yet, in this instant, they won't come. As promised, he drops me off at the park, phrases unsaid still hanging heavily in the air. In this weather, the park gives off a lazier and more languid vibe than usual. Where children are usually seen running and playing, there are now people leaning back on their picnic blankets and simply enjoying the afternoon sun. The smell of food drifts from the nearby carts if the wind blows in the right direction. One would catch a whiff of freshly trimmed grass. Maybe I should try walking home today to get my mind off things. Try and find the words somehow. I haven't done that in a while.
Thanks, Ash, for today.
No problem. Say hi to Rebecca for me.
Yeah, I will.
Even so, I linger. We both do. A mild, humid breeze brings the smell of dried leaves, warmed earth, and a far-off, distant memory. Of false starts and awkward first meetings. Same place, same people, playing the same parts. Funny how of all the days, my brain chooses to remember it now.
Wait, Belle.
Ash exits his car. His strides are unsteady when he approaches me. Or maybe this is his uncertainty showing? I'm not quite sure. He never looked uncertain to me before. Always calm, always sure, always collected. He stops a short distance from me, close enough that he's within an arm's reach, but just far enough for his voice to be heard over decent small talk, if this is what it's going to be. He fumbles something in his pockets.
Here, catch.
The small bag lands cleanly on my outstretched hands before it hits the ground. I raise an eyebrow at him, and he responds by shrugging and stuffing both his hands back into his pockets. Somewhere to the side, he finds an interesting spot to look at. Sometimes you have to wait, Papa said long ago. For once, this time, I listen. His voice is halting, hesitant, when he finds it again.
My mom used to make me carry around one of those when I was young. To ward off evil and bring you luck, she said. I don't believe in this kind of thing now. But if it makes you feel safe, since you're a total scaredy cat, then I guess it's okay to give you one.
Perhaps at the moment there aren't any words for it. I've never been good with those. But right now, I can thank him the best way I know. You're not bad after all. I close the short distance separating us. And lightly, in place of phrases over one couldn't spin together or answers too early to seek it out, I lean over. Finally! It's only been. This is only the 5th episode, and I'm already going, finally! And give him a little peck on the cheek. The touch is short, fleeting, the kind that speaks volumes of boundaries we don't often cross as friends. Nevertheless, the thought is there. It lingers. The gentle autumn wind that passes, and the empty space separating us when I step back and look up at him with a smile. It's easy to express gratefulness this way, isn't it? At least with my own family, that's the case. For the two of us, I'm not quite sure. Did he understand? After all, gratitude is considerably harder to put into words, when you've spent the latter half of your friendship teetering between good-natured jests and ruffling each other's feathers. Seconds pass before he clears his throat. His face has gone remarkably red, whether from the heat or something else I can't quite tell. But he understands. I know he does. Because the smile on him when he finally meets my eye is the gentlest I've seen him show.
I, gotta go. Got some reports I forgot to file the other day.
Yeah, see you around. Thanks for the ice cream and the charm.
Don't lose it. We won't find one here again if you do.
I won't. I might move like I have 2 left feet, but I know how to take care of my own stuff. I'm not a total klutz.
I know.
In Belle? Remember that one time? Devlin Court?
I do. With all the clarity in the world.
You... At the time, when we... What I'm trying to say is that you can rely on me. If something... anything happens. Not the exact same thing, of course, but... you get the idea. I'll be around.
I'll keep that in mind. You're not that bad after all.
Before leaving, he waves at me one last time. The next time we talk, we'll be back to the way we are. Because at the end of the day, that's how things have always moved between us. What we're familiar with, what we're comfortable with. But for all that, it's always easy to put my own faith in him. I just hope I can keep him safe. Keep him safe. A light wind blows again, sending dried leaves swirling in the distant smell and the distinct smell of earth into the air. For the first time, sunlight feels less harsh. Maybe a walk is good. I need to visit the grocery too. Come to think of it, wasn't there an art store that opened recently near the park? The cat's name is Beruthiel, or at least it's what his collar says. It's not a name to give to a cat, in my opinion. But it speaks grace much like the one that carries it. It shows the way he swishes his tail, and his eyes follow my hands in every movement. I'm not sure what he finds fascinating in me, to be honest. I wasn't the very picture of grace when he found me, after all. It was a bad idea, carrying 2 heavy bags of newly bought art materials and groceries without help or a sure ride home. In hindsight, perhaps I shouldn't have bought all of these at the same time. I didn't even make it past the park. And now I'm suffering underneath the glaring afternoon sun, hunched up on a park bench and drenched in sweat, in the company of a cat curiously watching my every movement. I hope it stays where it is. It's just a black cat, but back at home, they're considered almonds.
Don't look at me like that. I can act graceful as well if I want to.
Not that I've ever acted graceful in my life, of course. Growing up with rowdy younger brothers and a sister does that. Or maybe it's the opposite? Mama used to call me a little troublemaker before. Well, graceful or not, there's no use moping. Short breather and then I'm off home. Besides, it isn't like the company's bad, even if it's a cat, as long as it doesn't bite or crosses my path.
Where's your owner, anyway?
He has one, doesn't he? An owner. That's what the collar's for, isn't it? A bandage is wrapped on one of his paws, though. Wonder what happened to it. Did he run away?
Well, if you don't have one, I won't be able to take you in. My apartment doesn't allow pets. I tried to bring one home before, a cat. Not black, of course. And Rebecca threw a fit before the landlady could.
I take a small packet of sweets from one of the bags beside me and pop it open. As I'm about to put one into my mouth, he meows. My hand stops.
Do you want one?
He doesn't meow again as I'm expecting him to, but I take his unblinking gaze as a yes. I shift the piece of my palm and hold it out to him warily. He sniffs it once, twice, before...
Baruthia!
Like a good, properly trained pet, Baruthio responds as soon as he's called. Recognition comes as soon as my head snaps in the direction of the voice. Mrs. McCulloch's hard to miss, what with her height.
I'm sorry. Did my cat hurt you? Miss Santos, was it? I'm surprised to see you here.
Nice to meet you again, Miss McCulloch.
Were you harmed in any way? I'm sorry. Baruthio's not exactly fond of other people. Even ran away from the veterinarian right now.
Oh no, he was just sniffing my hand earlier.
My Baruthio's a she.
She? All this time I thought... The pause in conversation, if this can be called one, is uncomfortable. We're merely two people working different jobs for the same client. Frankly, meetings like this don't happen a lot, and if it does, a simple nodding of heads is enough. Still, trying to be friendly wouldn't hurt, right? Let's talk about her cat. I'd keep my tone cordial and warm. No, she didn't.
I'm actually surprised you have a cat, Miss McCulloch.
And why exactly is that? There are a lot of people who have pets.
Yeah, but not a black one. I'm amazed you're taking care of one.
I don't understand what you're trying to get at. Is there a problem with my cat?
No, not at all. She's very sweet. Just in other cultures, aren't they a sign of bad luck?
Back at home it is. My grandmother used to tell me stories about it and...
Nothing has happened to me so far.
Displeasure is evident on her face. Of course, I've forgotten that for other people, black cats are an omen of good luck. There you go again, running your mouth off, Isabella. I rack my brain for a way to remedy the situation, but she holds out a hand.
This is a good place to stop and end this conversation, don't you think so? It is good to see you again, Santos.
Complete dismissal if I've ever heard one. I watch her as she leaves, though she stops shortly before crossing the threshold separating the park and the street. She faces me again, looking like there's something she's forgotten to say.
By the way, about the Ermengarde mansion, with my clients, it's the rights. I mean, I hope you don't mind me asking, but has the deal been finalized?
There's still a few papers they need, but the house is more or less theirs now.
Ah, thank you. That's all I needed to know.
Wait, about the mansion. The
letter, the same one they saw. Whoever she is, she's asking for help. Someone. I want to tell Miss McCulloch that the urban legends aren't just legends anymore. They're real. She's not going to believe me.
Don't mind me. I need to go too. Have a good day, Miss McCulloch.
I hasten to pick all the bags I've left on the bench and ran as far as my legs can take me. In that moment, what I'm carrying in my hands weigh far lighter than the overwhelming guilt trying to consume me. Home. I want to go home. Anywhere where I won't be reminded of the house. Of her. Of my own cowardice. The food tastes less appetizing tonight. Pity. One would think that someone who had been on a continuous binge of instant noodles would find a home-cooked meal enjoyable. But it isn't. Hunger isn't what's gnawing at me tonight. Neither are my sore muscles. The TV runs loudly in the background, but what it says barely registers in my brain. It's hard when the things you're trying to forget keep returning to the forefront of your mind. It distracts you, eats at you, devours you. I wish it would stop. I wish I wasn't the one who picked it up. I wish it was somebody else.
In other local news, a woman was found dead in her home. Luxbourne police officials are currently investigating the crime scene, but has classified the case as homicide.
Huh?
The victim, identified as Rose Pamela Cooper, 33 years old, working as a real estate agent.
Rose?
Discovered lying in a pool of blood in her two-bedroom flat with the words "Help me" repeatedly written on the walls.
No! No! This isn't what I want. This isn't supposed to happen. None of this is supposed to happen. No one's supposed to die. Those are just stories, right? Legends? That's what everyone has kept telling me, so why? And Immediately I rushed to my study in search of my phone. My hand, cold from dread, clings tightly to it as I touch its edges. A piece of folded paper, the letter, lying unassumingly beside it, slips to the floor when I pick up the device. But I pay it no mind. There are more important things. Right now. I need to call her. I was with her. I was just with her not too long ago and she was okay. No. It isn't Rose. I'm sure of it. I just talked to her and... A sob escapes me and hot tears begin to blur my vision. One after another, they trickled down, weighted by the very same guilt I refused to admit I've been carrying from the start. The same one I've been hiding from. The same one that has put people I care about in danger. My hands shake as I navigate Rose's number in my contact list. She'll answer, right? That's what she always does. She'll pick up, tell me to turn down the waterworks, call me a wuss afterwards.
She'll answer. Please answer, Rose.
Again and again I dial, whispering, praying, pleading.
Come on, Rose. Don't do this to me. Please pick up. I know you're there, Rose. You're not dead. Please tell me you're not.
This adds to the series of deaths and disappearances that has plagued Luxbourne in the recent years. The authorities are currently looking at a possible link with the notorious Anselm Butcher case.
The TV runs loudly in the background, a deafening static sound from my phone's speakers. But in my ears, I can only hear the screams, her pleas, her whispers. We're not safe. October 24th, Monday. Jeez. I'm gonna end the episode here. That after such a nice scene earlier, too. Well, we'll be continuing this in the next one. Till then, this is the Gamer Girl, signing off. Bye-bye.